What's up, movie fans? Welcome. I have finally finished ranking movies, and I am now going to rank characters in movies. I need to think of more ideas. One of the most important characters in a movie, or any story for that matter, is the villain. It doesn't always have to be a villain, but you need something to create conflict. And the villain, I think, is the most common way of doing it. The MCU has now had 23 movies, and within it, 20 main villains. I'm only counting main villains, no side villains. For the longest time, people have been saying that the MCU suffers from something that has literally been called by fans the MCU villain problem. A lot of the time, they have very underdeveloped villains. So today, I wanted to take a look at all of the villains that they've created so far and rank all 20 of them to see which ones are great antagonists and which ones suffer from the MCU villain problem. So, let's get started. I know what you might be thinking. There are 21 main villains because Abomination. As I said in my MCU ranking video, I haven't seen The Incredible Hulk, so I cannot judge Abomination. So I'm only looking at the other 20 villains. Before I start, I want to say that the 3 criteria that I have to make a great villain is 1, he or she has to be threatening. 2, they have to be entertaining. And 3, they have to have a good motivation. Let's get started. Number 20, Malekith. The only villain on this list that doesn't really follow any of this criteria. He doesn't really have any motivation whatsoever. He's not really threatening. He's really dull, not in the slightest entertaining. He's just so underdeveloped. I just can't take him seriously, which is another one of the many problems I can say that Thor the Dark World has. Okay, now number 19, Yellow Jacket, the main villain of Ant-Man. In Ant-Man, Yellow Jacket is part of a bunch of entertaining fight scenes. Ant-Man has a lot of entertaining fight scenes, but he himself, not the slightest bit entertaining. He's also not that threatening. His the only scene where they're trying to make him threatening is the scene where he shoots a guy with the weird goop gun thing. He doesn't really have a good motivation. His motivation is just generic. He wants some money. Not really that great of a villain. You know, I completely missed my opportunity to do the Make It Rain thing. Darn it. Number 18, Calicius. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I don't know. He's from Doctor Strange. He's that weird guy with the weird, I don't even know. For some reason, he has, weird eye makeup. Black stuff here. I'm not even sure what it's supposed to be. Anyway, he's entertaining but forgettable, threatening, but none of his threatening things are memorable, so he's just forgettable. I could have just said he's just forgettable. And his motivation is good, but guess what I'm gonna say? Forgettable. Why didn't I just say he's forgettable? Number 17, Whiplash. For a second, I completely forgot this guy even existed. Which just shows you the nature of him. He's also sort of forgettable. His motivation is actually really good. He's not entertaining, and he's not threatening. Neither of those things I can say he really has. I can't really put him high just based off of his motivation, so he comes down lower. Number 16, Aldridge Killian, the weird fire-breathing guy who is in Iron Man 3. Okay, I need to address this real quick. People are going to call me out on this if I don't address the Mandarin twist. They took a potentially really great villain and decided, hey, let's make it so that this guy is actually a weird drunk actor and the real villain is this weird nerdy guy who breathes fire for some reason and who's also a ripoff of Syndrome. I really don't need to say anymore. He just has a dumb motivation. It's not really threatening. It's not entertaining. I'm shocked that he came above Whiplash, but I honestly do like him just a little bit more than Whiplash. Now, number 15, Ronan the Accuser. I can't remember anything about this guy. He's not really developed in Guardians of the Galaxy. Less developed in Captain Marvel. After I walked out of Guardians of the Galaxy, if you would have told me that he was less developed in Captain Marvel, I would have said you were insane. But he really is. He overall came down lower. Number 14, Ironmonger, the first villain the MCU ever had. His motivation is decent, but his plan doesn't help his motivation at all. He's not really threatening. It's not really entertaining. See, a lot of these villains fail at my 3 criteria, so I can honestly really see why people call this the MCU villain problem. The MCU was not good at making villains, and I say was for a reason that you'll hear later on. Number 13, Ghost. Had this been like last year when I first saw Ant-Man and the Wasp, probably would have had her at number 18, and there were like 16 villains at the time, so it's really bad. I didn't really think that she was great as a villain then, but that was before I created my criteria and actually had the good motivation part. She actually has a really good motivation, but she's not threatening, and she's definitely not entertaining. Actually like her a lot more now than I did. Number 12, Yun Rung. I honestly didn't even know what this guy's name was before I looked it up. I don't think they say his name once in the entirety of Captain Marvel, but that is his name. The weird Kree guy. Spoilers, the Kree are actually bad guys and not the Skrull. Yeah, Yun Rung, I actually thought was a really good villain. They handled him really well. I don't think he had a good motivation, but his interactions with Captain Marvel were really entertaining. He was sort of threatening, so he got this high, just can't put him higher. Now, we have officially gotten past all of the villains that suffer from the MCU villain problem. The next 11 villains on the list are all great. Or not really great, but some of them are just passable, but I still like them all. Number 10, Zemo. Well, hold on, I need to address this first. How do they manage to go from the comic book where he's a purple mask wearing person who like has a sword and everything to the movie where he is just a guy who just lost his family and is just trying to get revenge? Like, they really change his comic book self very much. That being said, I do not compare movies to books. I made that clear in the Harry Potter video. I actually think that his motivation is really good. He's not really entertaining, but he's threatening enough. I think that he's actually a really good villain. The only reason he's not in the top 10 is because his plan happens strictly just because of a bunch of coincidences. I know that like 100 people have said this already, but it's true. There is no way he could have planned out all of this stuff. That's the only reason he's lower. Number 10, Alexander Pierce. That one dude from Captain America the Winter Soldier, who was a twist villain. There are spoilers for these movies in this video, by the way, in case you didn't know. He's actually a really good villain. I don't seem to remember him having that much of a motivation, but he's entertaining enough, and he's really, really threatening. So I can say, with a straight face, he's in the top 10. Number 9, Red Skull. He's really threatening, but not really entertaining, and his motivation is decent. I can't really say that he's an amazing villain, but I do actually think that how threatening he is does manage to bring him off into the top 10, so he's number 9. Now number 8, Ultron. Yes, the trailers made it seem like he was going to be this big, scary dude, but he's not the slightest bit threatening. He's just too comedic. Way too comedic. But if you take out that problem, I actually think that he's really, really good. Like, he doesn't really have that much of a motivation, but it doesn't matter because he makes up for it by literally being a conflict that the hero created. And I like that. Also think that he was very entertaining, which was helped by the fact that he was too comedic, so might not be a great thing, but... And overall, I think that I like this villain more than most people, so yeah. Number 7, Ego. This guy has a big ego. I actually managed to make a joke that can compete with the Carbonite one. Here we go again. I'm just kidding. I'm back. Don't worry. I didn't actually leave. So Ego, I actually think that I really like this character. I think that I have him higher on the list than most people would. He didn't really have that much of a good motivation, but he was threatening, entertaining when he tried to be, which wasn't that often, but I think that he was still fine. Maybe number 7 is a bit too high, but I honestly don't regret it, so he's at number 7. Number 6. Spoilers for Spider-Man Far From Home. Leave now if you haven't seen Spider-Man Far From Home. Mysterio is number 6. Okay, honestly, anyone who has ever read the comics could have guessed the Mysterio twist, but still, Mysterio, it was a twist reveal. So, I actually find him to be a good villain. I think that his motivation was fine. I think that, he was actually pretty threatening. His interactions with Peter were really entertaining, and he has that extra little bonus point of actually having a relationship with the hero so that you really feel betrayal when it's revealed that he's the bad guy. I thought that that was great. This is where the villains sort of like elevate into that tier where they're just perfect. Number 5 is Hela. Great motivation, entertaining. Everyone in Thor Ragnarok is entertaining, threatening. I thought that she was great. This is just the part where all of them get really, really good. All of these 6 villains are in a class of their own. Number 4, the Vulture. Oh my gosh. Okay, this character has the best, second best motivation of any of these guys. He's just trying to protect his family. That was great. I also think that he was threatening. Like that whole scene where he's in the car with Peter. That was a great scene. He's sometimes entertaining enough to definitely get into the top 5. He's just really good. Now, top 3. Number 3 is actually the one with the best motivation. Killmonger. His motivation is just really, really good, and his motivation is literally changes the perspective of everyone else in the movie, which I thought was great. He's threatening, he's entertaining, he has a great motivation. He is number 3. Now number 2 is Loki. Loki is the most entertaining villain here. You just never know if you can trust him or not. His relationship with Thor is great. He is just a really great villain. He's not really that threatening, but he's still fine. His motivation is good. I really like this villain, but he can't beat number 1. Number 1 is easily Curse. You know, that one random dark elf in Thor the Dark World that they make a big deal about. Yeah, he was great. He was just so threatening. So I'm messing with you guys. Curse isn't really number 1. I had to look up his name. Number 1 is actually Thanos. Oh snap. Okay, no, but seriously. Thanos is a really, really good villain. He's pretty much the only villain on this list who really basically gets his entire movie. Like, Infinity War was pretty much his movie. He just steals every scene that he's in. He's a great villain. He has a great motivation. He's threatening. He's sometimes entertaining. He is perfect. And he is ruined in Avengers Endgame, but that doesn't even matter. Avengers Endgame is still a great film. It's still my number 1. That's my full MCU Villains ranking. This video went on way longer than I expected it to. I promise this will be the last ranking video for, I don't know, like maybe a week. I'm aiming for a week. I don't know. I don't really know. Okay, see ya.